old narrative was you do well in elementary, then that gives you a success in middle school, high school, college enrollment, college graduation, a career, and then a pension. Most kids these days don't even know what a pension is.
We've got this growing divide between those who are in great economic circumstances and those who are being left behind. And you just see too many people counting on education to open doors for them, and it didn't.
Just the landscape of what jobs are going to be like is so different. If we don't take risks to break out of the old system, then we're not going to be able to give the kids the skills.
Kids are super adaptive. They're going to go with the flow of whatever comes their way, especially if it's more engaging. It's the adults, it's the parents who learned a different way, or it's the teachers who were taught to teach a different way that are the most resistant.
One of the things I really think is important is that we get kids engaged in their learning, and that we try to listen to those students and what they want to learn and how they want to learn it.
What do you want your kids to get good at? Do you want them to be creative problem solvers, communicators, collaborators? I know that the amount of disruption and change we're going to see in the next 10 to 20 years will be dramatically more than what we've seen in the last 10 to 20 years. That has profound implications for how we educate kids, how we train, skill, equip our kids to deal with a world where careers are going to come and go.
There's a fear if we continue to do the same thing the way we've been doing it and not making any changes, we're going to get the same results. We also want to allow teachers to be creative, innovative with our students, and we don't want to mandate it, and we don't want to make every teacher do those things if they're not comfortable with doing them. But those teachers that want to have the freedom to try things differently, we definitely want to encourage and support those teachers.
But really around a model of small steps leading to big change. So don't try to reinvent everything, but just invite a few teachers to try something that might be 15 minutes to a class period.
Innovative education does not mean you get rid of lecture or direct instruction. It means that you use it tactically for its intended purposes cognitively, and you're not overusing it, which is what we've always done.
I think engagement is important because it's how we see intrinsic motivation. You can't look inside a kid's mind or inside a kid's soul and see what they're thinking or feeling about a subject, but you can when you look at engagement, how engaged is a kid. Project-based learning has a lot of different definitions, but I think at its core, it's students doing, making, designing, and creating, bringing into being real, authentic products, usually over a sustained period of time through an inquiry process. So there's usually a question or an essential question that's posed that's authentic, something like how might we reduce the garbage production of our school. And through exploring that question, students would be asked to create some sort of authentic product, a public service campaign, a way to actually measure reduced garbage production, for example, and then asked through a multidisciplinary approach, looking at the math of it, calculating the actual volume of waste, looking at the different types of waste, maybe looking at sociology, how do we change human behavior, looking at writing projects and saying how might I use writing to convince my peers or adults. Public speaking, again, how might I use public speaking to convince people to change behaviors? Psychology, art, we can create posters, and through this interdisciplinary approach, actually impact life for real. And project-based learning just has a better shot at helping students connect the dots between why am I being asked to do this and what does it really mean for me. And I think we don't give students enough credit that they do care about their school, their community, their peers, and the world. And that's easier through project-based learning than saying, we're on page 53 because it's Thursday, that's why you need to learn this. I think that's when we can really tap into students' internal motivation to learn.
Everything doesn't have to be inside the classroom. Everything doesn't have to come with homework per se, but it's just allowing the students to have a say, come up with critical questions themselves on what they want to learn and how they're going to learn it, and then we support that, and allowing students to interact and problem solve together. And we need to trust them in their collaboration skills. We need to trust them that they're going to be able to problem solve, which is all a part of our GLOs, and they're going to produce quality products.
The questions I see asked are typically, will this be on the test? When you ask them what you're interested in, a lot of times the interests have largely disappeared, but not permanently disappeared. And so I feel like if you just start letting kids have a voice in defining, how do you want to make your world better? What's a distinctive way that you could leverage your talents, your interest, your determination to make a positive contribution?
This is not a mandate to do the project-based learning. This is just giving them the ability to try it, to step out of their comfort zone, step out and do something different.
And you could look at teachers like students too, because teachers are supposed to model learning. If we're role models, we should be modeling what we're there for, which is to learn. So teachers should always be learning.
An important element is having, be it a school leader or a district leader like Casball, who is open and willing to explore different avenues to train teachers, to educate students, to support principals, to also educate and engage parents and community members. He believes in his principals, he believes in their ability to do the work, he believes this is best for kids. He also believes when we're going to take steps and then need to step back and, just as the design thinking process goes, say, okay, what worked? What didn't work so well? How do we redesign this for round 2?
I think that we often don't give our veteran teachers enough credit. Many of those teachers who've been around for 30 plus years have seen things like Socratic seminars, seen things like cooperative learning come and go and now come back. One of the things they're tired of is it feeling like the flavor of the month. And so I think educational leaders, we need to make long-term commitments to our teachers that if we're going to engage, for example, in project-based learning, that we're not going to try it for 2 years, but this is where our school's going for the next 10 years.
We really want this entire Canoe Complex area team to feel as though they have support in colleagues now from other public, private, and charter schools who have their backs as they go forward in this work.
So the question of how do we know if an innovation has been successful is really tricky. Because typically our innovations are still judged using the same outdated outcomes that our current methods are being judged by. We're not going to know how effective project-based learning is by looking at SBAC tests, because I will say that it's more efficient, not necessarily more effective, but more efficient to get SBAC scores through software and one-on-one tutoring and drill and kill. So we as a system, leaders of that system, need to really make time and space to redefine educational outcomes. And like I've heard Ted say, we're not going to replace outdated educational outcomes with nothing. We have to replace outdated educational outcomes with better outcomes. And until we do that, it's going to be really hard to measure these things.
Step words, right? You're going to be doing your smelling it.
So we still have some mandates that we have to follow through with. That really is the tricky piece of trying to figure out how they're going to support those teachers that want to be innovative, try things differently, do project-based learning.
We need to really work hard, potentially partnering with institutions of higher education or research institutions to figure out what are these new metrics. How do we capture these new outcomes and truly report on them in similar ways that we report on our SBAC scores?
3 years ago, I went to all 50 states in the country to sort of listen and learn and see what's going great in American education. And out of those states, I sort of felt that there were all the conditions for really remarkable advances in education in 2. So the last 2 years, I spent a lot of time in North Dakota and here, because I think they are the states that could be the gazelles that inspire another 48 states to think differently. I often say the bright spots here are as bright as they are in Finland. You've got excellence here that holds its own with anywhere in the world. It's a deeply collaborative culture. People want to work together, people respect each other. I find that adults here care desperately about how all kids do.
We have a leg up on every state in the nation in that we have this really passionate system supporting Native Hawaiian education. And through existing networks that focus on cultural-based learning, culturally responsive learning, culturally appropriate learning, we already have people working on culturally responsive evaluation and assessment.
And to the extent you believe, which I do, that education should be coupled to your environment, to your heritage, to your culture, to what you see around you, where better than here? You know, the place-based opportunities for education here are second to none. Which is why one of the things that's so exciting about here is you've got this entire complex, and we've got every principal from all schools in the Canoe complex coming together to sort of commit to a co-innovation process and to show what a gazelle can do if you really put your mind to it.
If we were able to shed a lot of the have-tos of education, it really could be places where kids operated from points of curiosity and wonder and awe.
I mean, there's just a lot of people that just maybe haven't given it that much thought, that just think it should be the way it's always been, you know, kind of work for me, or there must be logic to it.
And it is incumbent upon us to connect as school leaders, as teachers, to create like the best possible learning opportunities for our students across the state, and then in particular here on Maui.
We're all each other's neighbors. We all work with and for each other. And so it's really important that we provide the highest quality, equitable access to the best education in the world for every single one of our kids in Hawaii.